Jonny, our fellow peer coach. He was the mind behind this event. Just as Dorothy said, he came into the office one day, told all of us, guys, we're going to do a public speaking event. It was unanimous. We all decided, let's do it. So ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Jonny.
So, I'm going to say something next, and I'd like you to really pay attention very closely, okay? Good morning. Good morning. I said good morning two different ways. Memorize which one you prefer, first or second, okay? Yeah. We talk about that later. Today, I'm going to talk about language. And not about any kind of language. I'm going to talk about a specific language that I believe the most interesting language that I ever came across. If you look at the next picture over here, you see many languages. For example, English, Portuguese, my own language, Italian, Spanish, Russian, German, many languages. Also in this picture, you can see where those languages come from. The roots, for example, English comes from Germanic root. Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, Canada, a Romance origin. So my question for you, all those languages, they are different. You speak in a different way, you write maybe with a different alphabet, but they all share one thing in common. Can you guess what it is? Sound, yes. Very good guess, and that's my answer. All those languages are vocal or verbal language, which means you can use your voice to communicate. Which means when you say something with your voice, someone that hears you can understand what you're saying, right? But not all languages are vocal or verbal language. American Sign Language is a language that uses hand gestures, facial expressions, body language to convey a message. American Sign Language, or ESL, is a language that deaf people use to communicate in North America. I mean Canada and the United States. Okay? I need a volunteer who can help me. No one? Really? Yeah. Over there, come over here. Perfect. You have a comment? What's her name? Amanda. Let's put our hands together for Amanda again. Awesome. So, what are we going to do, Amanda? We're going to make eye contact. We're going to stare at each other for 30 seconds. Got it? No voice. Okay? Everyone ready? Ready? Okay, let's go. Good. Now, Amanda, before you go, how did you feel after staring at me for 30 seconds? It's difficult. Okay, thank you very much. Now, I'm going to share something with you. There's a very interesting effect when people stare at me for long periods of time. Let's check it out. Jokes aside, there is a psychological study that in that study people stare at each other for 10 minutes. And then what they find out is after you stare at someone for long periods of time, you tend to feel more close, more connected, and sometimes even fall in love. Now let's go back to American Sign Language. American Sign Language is a visual language, which means you have to look at the person when you speak. So if you look away, even for 1 second, maybe you miss 1, 2, 3 words, which are signs, and then you cannot understand what the person is saying. So in a 3 hours conversation, you must look at the person, make eye contact for the entire time. So I wonder if 10 minutes can make people fall in love, what 3 hours of intense eye contact can make people feel. I start my presentation saying good morning 2 different ways. So if you prefer the first way, put your hands up. 1. If you prefer the second way, put your hands up. The majority of people choose the second one. Yeah. It's easy to guess why. Can you say why?
More nice to hear.
looks a little bit nicer, right?
Intonation.
Intonation, yes. The reason why I change my voice is because I smile, and that's why I look away, so you do not see that I'm smiling, you just hear my voice. But all of you prefer the second, because I put a little bit more emotion. I smile. I show a little bit more affection as I speak, and that makes you feel more welcome to the way I say. Now let's go back to American Sign Language, okay? The American Sign Language, I will teach you something now. These three words, should, need, and must. They have very similar meaning, but the urgence is a little bit different. If I say, I should do this, okay, but if I say, I must do this, you understand that this is much more urgent than the other one, okay? So in American Sign Language, the sign for all those three words is the same, which is this. Okay, that's the sign. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, you may be thinking, okay, if I'm doing only the same sign, how do the person know if I'm doing should, if I'm saying need, or I'm saying must? It relies on your facial expression. I know most of you, not all of you, because there is some deaf friends over here that do not know nothing about American Sign Language, but try to guess. I will do this sign and make a facial expression. You try to guess which word I'm saying, okay? Don't pay attention too much on my hand, look at my face, okay? Ready? Should. Most of people choose should. Now, how about this? Must, right? Even though you know nothing about American Sign Language, you can understand the difference through my facial expressions, right? Facial expressions we use in any language, in English, in Portuguese, in French, in Russian, but we never learned that in school. It's not something that they teach us how to change our face as we speak, but in fact, in American Sign Language, it's really important, it's mandatory to use facial expressions. Otherwise, maybe you're saying the wrong sentence. So you must use facial expression. Now, think about it. If in every single word I speak, I put my emotions, and only two, good morning, was able to make you feel more connected, what happened in a 3 hours conversation when every single word I show my emotion? Every single word or sign I do, you feel more connected. I would say that as I share my feeling, I change place with you, then you can feel the way I feel, and that connects us. There's a saying in English that we should step on everybody's shoes or other person's shoes to understand how they feel. That's the same idea. So every time I'm signing, put my emotions, I'm exchanging shoes with that person. They understand how I feel. So my last point about American Sign Language is about this. First of all, there's any Japanese people here? Who is Japanese? You're from Japan? You're from Japan? Over there. So you probably know what that means, right? So this means wa in Japanese. If I translate to English, it means harmony. Okay? So hold this for a second. In Japanese Sign Language, not English American Sign Language, Japanese Sign Language, the sign for wa is this. Okay, that's the sign for wa. If you think about it, before I say why is that, think about harmony. Basic, I will explain very simple because it's very complex. It's a very important concept in Japanese culture, but very simple way to explain. Groups, people, they should share the same ideas. They should behave in the same way and see the world in the same way. Basic, they try to keep the balance, make everything calm and quiet in the same way, which means you should not disturb the balance. Okay? Now, think about one person, another person, and those people together, everything is the same between them. That's my interpretation why wa is like that. Okay. Now, how many people here are from level 5? No? Level 5? Level 6? Good. Level 4? No? 3? 8? Good. Now we have different groups. I mean, we have people from different classrooms. And because of that, what happens is the groups are separate according to your knowledge about English, right? At the same time, the people in one group, they share the same idea, the same knowledge about English. There is a difference between a person in another level because they have different knowledge about English. At the same time that we create unity in one group, we also create segregation because we put people into different groups, right? When I started learning American Sign Language, it was pretty much I learned on my own. I didn't have many people to practice with, but eventually I find a meeting every Sunday where people use sign to communicate and there's no voice in that meeting. And one day, I go there many times and I practice my signing, but one day I met a person from that group outside and we use voice to communicate. And for the first time when I hear that voice, I notice the person has an accent. I'm going to stop here for a second. There's no problem at all when you have an accent. Okay, I have an accent. Most people in Canada have an accent. There's no problem. Actually, it's awesome because we create diversity. Okay, clear that? Let's go back to American Sign Language. So, for the first time when I hear the person's voice, I know that the person has an accent different from my own accent. At that moment, I feel the difference between us, and the "wa" was a little bit broken, a little bit unbalanced. But when we are signing, there's no difference. Only one language. We're sharing the same connection. So American Sign Language for me creates only one group that integrates people together. Basically, why I think American Sign Language is the most interesting language I ever came across for 3 reasons. First, we must make eye contact all the time and create this sense of connection with other people. 2, we must share our emotions and expressions so we feel how the other person is feeling. And 3, it creates only one big group. A big group where everyone's part of one single group. Before I finish my presentation, I'd like to sign something for you, and after that, I will translate what I said. Okay? Can you hold this for me? Thank you. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk with him in a language, in his language, that goes to his heart. Nelson Mandela. Thank you very much.